All right, you're tuned in to MMA Canada and very excited to be talking to an individual set to compete at BTC 26 Rumble in the Rapids, which transpires on November 16th. And a very intriguing match in a few different regards as Gino Ghalehpardaz steps into the cage against Nigel Crosswell and Great Heaven Nigel on the MMA Canada platform to talk ahead of this flyweight fight. How are you doing, man? You having a solid day?
Yeah, man, it's good to be here. It's good to talk to you again. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, likewise, man. I mean, definitely wanted to make a point of really getting to talk to, both of you at a certain point because I think when I had initially seen the matchup, I didn't really, I guess, get the sense that there might have been something deeper to it than a competitive dynamic. Like it seems like a bit of a grudge match here. Like there's something to it. Like obviously Gino had, previously fought your brother and got a split decision win, but like what's the, I guess, like genesis of all of this? Like I said, it seems like, is that a fair way to characterize it? I guess like I kind of use the term bad blood, or like there's a little something to it. Like, would you describe this as a grudge match? And if so, like, what's your, I guess, anecdotal experience with it? Like, how did all of this come to be?
Well, I know hyping up the fights is like, the name of the game. So, but honestly, I he hasn't been on my mind too much, but if I were to call this any type of fight, I would call it more of a grudge fight. He did fight my brother in the past. I forget the date, but it was a close fight. I believe my brother won. I didn't like his attitude after the fight, and I didn't like the outcome of the fight. So just that kind of stirred the pot a bit and has some bad blood backstage. So yeah, definitely coming into this fight, I'm gonna have that same energy, and yeah, I'm definitely looking to take it to him and just bring step toe to toe to the cage and see where it goes.
Yeah, and I feel like I've heard some allusions to like some sort of like backstage interaction. Like I feel like Gino has even maybe touched upon that. Like what are you alluding to there? Like what went down backstage after the fight when Gino had fought your brother? Like what was the aftermath like?
So after the fight, like backstage, him and his team were just kind of celebrating too much, and to me, that was an uncelebratory win. Like he didn't have the right to act the way he did after the fight, and just words were exchanged. He was running his mouth, I was running my mouth, and it got kind of heated. So just fighters being fighters, just wanted to fight it out.
Yeah, I mean, now you finally get the chance to do so. Like, I guess what was the timeline like for this bout offer coming your way? Because I imagine, based on what we've been talking about, this was the exact fight you'd be looking for. But like, when did it, become official? Like, when did things start getting in motion for it?
So I had a few fights in the past that were supposed to be scheduled. My last fight on BTC was supposed to be against Baldwin. So I mean, Gino Gino was in the lineup. Uh, I had a few other guys that I kind of had my eyes on first, but he definitely was in the lineup. I couldn't get a couple of the opponents that I was looking for my fight. I know Gino, he's kind of in between weight classes right now. He did fight at 135 in the past a lot. I see him kind of moving the change to 125. So him being the heavier guy, he was on my radar, but I wasn't too focused on that fight because I knew the weight class difference or whatever. So I was more looking for people who were my weight, more attuned to me. But I mean, Woodrow, the matchmaker, he gave me the option, and there wasn't much other guys to kind of choose from. So fuck, what other opponent than him?
Yeah, no, fair enough. I guess it just kind of fell together nicely. And that's also something that I had kind of noticed because while you did have a kickboxing bout in August, just this being your first MMA fight of 2024 after a couple of cancellations, like you mentioned the Baldwin cancellation and then the Brennan Picard fight there for Unified circa October 4th. So there must be a lot of excitement getting ready to, get out there for this one. And I guess like a relatively quick turnaround from that, referenced unified card and the bout falling out there. Like it must have been great to get something on your radar within like a week or two after the fact.
Yeah, yeah, and even with that unified card, like I kind of kept everything. Like I'm not really. public with like my injuries and stuff like that. But leading up to that fight, I had a bad dirt bike accident, and then I ended up having a car accident just nearly after that. So luckily, nothing turned out too bad, and I was able to get back out here fucking as soon as possible. And luckily, BTC they had a fight offer for me, so it's good that because I was in the works training for the unified fight, and then I was excited for that because BTC with Baldwin fell out. So having those two fights fall out on kind of like stupid terms, kind of kind of gets my blood boiling and gets my my jitters going for this next one coming up.
Yeah, it's been referenced a couple times that Gino previously had a fight against your brother, that of which was competitive to the extent it ended in a split decision. Like, how much have you, I guess, picked your brother's brain on Gino Ghalehpardaz, if at all? Like, has he been someone that you've been leaning on a bit in terms of, like, I guess, strategic consideration, just considering he's been in there with him before?
Not too much. I mean, I watched the footage of the fight a lot, but I have my own game plan coming into the fight. And I see Jake. I mean, he fought one of Kelly. Gino did. So that fight I've been watching. So a couple of opponents that I did good against, Gino's also fought, and I feel that like my game plan is kind of similar, but I have my own tweak on it. So using all those fights, all footage of those fights kind of help. And I mean, there's no surprises with Gino. I mean, his styles, I don't want to say generic, but it's nothing that I haven't seen before. And I know he's a high level grappler, so I expect him to come in for a takedown very soon off the first round. I know he's gonna want to probably throw a couple strikes, but that shoot's gonna be coming pretty soon. So I mean, my game plan is tethered towards that, and I mean, I want to stick to my game plan. I'm going off all of my brother's fight and all the other fights that I've seen, but I'm focused on my own game plan.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And I would imagine at least you're still occupying like similar training spaces. Like, are you still getting in work out of Stony Creek mostly these days?
Yeah. So I'm at House of Champions steady. I do train at Soy Dogs as well. They're kind of like a brother gym to us. Dennis Pierik, he opened that gym up. So so yeah, I mean, we got a lot of good bodies, a lot of wrestling going on.
Yeah, and it's cool you're back out in Niagara region, like just with the fight and everything like that. Like there has to be certain like localized connection to that. I guess just like training regularly in the region and then readying to, have a fight within Niagara region too. Like,
Yeah, it's good because I mean, the home crowd, and also being able to have people in my corner that if it was a longer fight, they probably couldn't make it out. So it's good to just have that kind of. I know he's from here too, and he kind of has his home crowd and stuff, but it's good to kind of have a home standing.
and who are you having in your corner for this one, whereby, like you said, it might be more difficult to get them out if it was like a longer distance away? Like, who's going to be in the corner for this one here?
I'm gonna have my dad in my corner, of course, and then I'm gonna have a couple other guys from House of Champions that have been helping me getting ready for this fight, and I also want to get somebody from Soy Dogs as well to come out and represent.
Well, that would be awesome. That would be such like a great balance of all the different spaces you're getting in work at, and shining a spotlight on the sister gym is always good because I feel like House of Champions already has that certain, I guess, notoriety or cachet kind of built up. So good to like shine a spotlight on the sister gym and get the profile going there a bit more too, I guess.
For sure, yeah, they helped me down a lot there, so it's good to represent.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And I mean, it's kind of interesting. I guess like maybe kind of tying into the prior question about, I guess, just like approach within game planning, like you had essentially outlined that a lot of it is like being aware of him to a certain extent, but more focusing on your skills and what you want to implement in the game plan. Like I guess within that, I'm wondering how much you practice visualization and stuff like that. And I guess within that, if you have a defined idea for, I guess, how you see this fight ending with Gino, like, is there a reoccurring visualization you may or may not have for this next BTC fight?
I mean, I don't wanna let the cat out of the bag, but it's fighting. There are no secrets. But I mean, I do. The fight can go any way. I know there are. I don't want to say it's just gonna finish in one way, but I'm just gonna say that I am gonna take the fight to him, and I'm prepared for him to come and try and take me down. And if he wants to take it to the ground, I'll take it to him. And yeah, I mean, he just needs to be ready for me to take the fight to him. And if it's gonna be a good fight.
Yeah, and a strong card all around, it looks like it seems like there's even like a certain like flyweight presence to the card as well, just with James Clark readying to, compete on the event and being one of the bigger,
Yeah.
I guess, like flyweight competitors. And this is a great fight between you guys. So yeah, I'd love to see that for sure. I feel like there's a lot of, great flyweights throughout Canada. Also, just I guess with Tony Laramie readying to make that Rizin debut as well. Like just love to see it, whether it's like the fighters at flyweight competing throughout Canada or I guess even expanding the global footprint and all.
Yeah, I see the flyweight division definitely getting bigger. I mean, the competition's definitely getting harder in there. There's definitely more game people in flyweight. Um, but yeah, I mean, fuck, it's just more pickings and it's just more spotlight on our division, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. And it must feel good to be back in BTC in general. Like, I guess I'm imagining that maybe it has a certain, I guess, special place in your overall journey. I mean, you've obviously had, great bouts in amateur boxing and then the Waco experience, but I would think getting that first pro MMA win would have been a big moment at BTC 20 in June of last year. So I guess just in bringing that up, I would think it would be great getting back to fight under the BTC banner, like maybe thinking it has some special place for you in your journey.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, who knows? I'd definitely like to probably fight for their belt at some point, if I don't end up getting another belt in another organization. But but yeah, I'd love to keep fighting for BTC. I'd love to definitely get the flyweight BTC belt eventually and fuck see how far my record with them can go.
Yeah, and it's a great promotion in a vacuum, but also it just seems like such a great catalyst for stars to go on to other things. I mean, even just off the top of my head, like Jasmine Jazz Davicius, for instance, like recently getting that UFC Edmonton win, and then you see guys like Aaron Jeffrey doing great stuff in Bellator, like just a couple of many examples of BTC alumni that have used that platform to vault towards like being in some of the biggest shows in the world.
Yeah, it is definitely like one of the top, one of the most topper shows out closer in Toronto and this area where I live. So I mean, that's also a good thing to be, I'm lucky to be fighting on the card because again, spotlights on it, there's a lot of good people in my division, yet alone the other divisions. So when we've had a few people who have gone and fight in the UFC, like Jasmine. So I mean, yeah, it's it is an honor to fight for BTC and fuck, let's see where we can go with it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's been a cool journey to follow, and I feel like this next chapter unfurling in the story will be a great one to see on November 16th. And yeah, definitely encourage anyone in that Niagara Falls area and just Niagara region in general to come check out BTC 26. But, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. Been great getting to have you on and get some great insights from you. But I figured I'd also, give you the floor and just in wanting to be mindful of your time, see if there's maybe a final thought you wanted to add as we're kind of wrapping up, Nigel.
Just thanks for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And yeah, if you guys want to come see some good fights, come out to Niagara, catch the fights down at BTC, and you're not going to be disappointed. You're going to see some knockouts, see some good submissions. It's going to be a hell of a night.
Yeah, BTC always delivers stacked card overall. And within that, one of the fights that I was definitely excited for when I saw the announcement was your fight with Gino Ghalehpardaz. So again, to reiterate, man, thanks for coming on MMA Canada and giving some great insights today. I'll be peeping the fight when it goes down and keeping up with all of that. But until then, you have a good rest of your day. And yeah, thanks so much, Nigel.
I appreciate it, brother. Take care.
All right, you're tuned in to MMA Canada and very excited to be talking to an individual competing at BTC 26 Rumble in the Rapids, which transpires on November 16th. And a very intriguing flyweight fight set to go down as Nigel Crosswell takes on Gino Ghalehpardaz, and great having Gino on the MMA Canada platform today. How's your day going, man?
It's been all right. It's been good. It's been a busy day, but it's been good. Busy is good.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of fight stuff to get into, but real quick,
Yeah.
wanted to offer the congratulations for, becoming a dad and everything
Oh,
like that.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah. How's that been, man?
Thank you. It's been a blast. He's actually hooting and hollering right now. I'm at my wife's expense right now, so I get a little bit of a break from it. But no, it's been good. He's a blast. 9:30 to 11 is not the best time. It's his witching hour. He just becomes a little monster, but it's all good, man. He's been fun. It's been a blessing. Cool.
Yeah, have you noticed like a tremendous amount of, I mean, obviously like, there's going to be a lot of life changes in general, but I guess you hear that sort of, I guess, thing with fighters a lot where it's like when they have a kid, it adds that, I guess, even compounded, like additional layer of purpose beyond their own individual motivations. Like, is that anything that you have found at all, or?
Yeah, I mean, in the sense of just realizing how quick time goes by, I can literally see how quick time goes by just by looking at him and how he's getting bigger and bigger. And yeah, of course, just appreciating everything, appreciating. And I've always been decent at doing that, but it's just like really understanding that. And yeah, I mean, he does put a layer of motivation. I want him to be able to see that you can do anything that you set your mind to, right? And lead by example. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, for sure, man. And just, yeah, exciting stuff with this fight here and everything.
Hmm.
Like, when did it initially get on your radar? Like, as far as like the bout offer formally coming your way and everything?
Um, it came not too long ago, maybe 5, 6, 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago? Yeah, so just about a month ago, like Thanksgiving. So yeah. Yeah, I didn't take it wasn't very long. It was hey, you guys interested? You guys want to do this? You'll be there. 'Cause, that's always kind of a little bit of an issue he has. Because that was an issue I had with him. And like, all right, like, is this actually going to happen? Am I wasting my time here? But they insisted no, and would you be interested? And this is the matchup we want to do, and we want to revisit this whole nonsense or whatever. So I said, yeah, I'm down. 25 is great. Let's do it. Um, yeah, I mean, I train all the time, so the shift was maybe a little bit of intensity to tell you the truth, but um, and maybe game planning a little bit for specific, right? Because it's hard. You can't really game plan for anyone if you don't have anyone. But then being able to kind of like focus that mindset and be able to now put it to practice.
Yeah, it's interesting. Some of the things you, I guess, kind of alluded to, like not the specific wording, but just in terms of like, I guess, like revisiting the nonsense or things of that persuasion. Like it seems like there's a certain rivalry component beyond it just being like a straight fight, for lack of a better way to phrase it. Like from your vantage point, like what's the, I guess, like root of the rivalry that seems to be there with Nigel Crosswell? I spoke to him the other day and he seemed to allude to some like backstage interaction you guys
Yeah.
had and whatnot.
Yeah, and that's all it was, man. It's just I beat his brother. It was close. I never once lied. I never once said it wasn't close. I went to shake their hand because they wouldn't shake my hand in the cage. Um, and then they just started yelling at me, and then I, puffing their chest out, and I stuck my finger in his chest. And I've said that over and over again. So, and they didn't like that, and I didn't like it much either. And so, yeah, in the back, we had to get separated. He kind of came around for a second go, then he and I had to get separated again. The whole thing was embarrassing, man. It was just the amateur hour, and just yapping nonsense, you know, um, you know, from them, their dad, just it was stupid, man. It was just so stupid. But I'll tell you the truth, man. I don't think about it. I really don't. Like it sounds like I think about it a lot. I really, really don't. It's just every time they talk that I'm like, okay, well, I gotta address it. You know what I mean? Because like I'm not. Listen, what do you learn in life? Uh, you guys who want to act like bullies and talk a lot, you got to stick your finger right in their chest, and then they usually will back off. And this has happened time and time again because every time they've done it, I said, all right, then let's fight. And then they're like, no. So that's not to say he's not a tough fight. That's not to say he doesn't have skills, but it's just, I'm not going to let him do that. Like Nigel Crosswell is not going to do that to me. Um, and yeah, man, I'm down to go at it. For me, it's I guess a little bit. I just wanted some kind of fun, put some fire under my ass, and this kind of worked. But I haven't thought about him as an individual like with those things once. Um, Gearing into it, it's just all business, and on fight night, it will be all business.
I guess there is a certain synchronicity component, though, just being that your Noah Croswell fight was in like that Niagara Falls kind of area a bit over 2 years ago, and now returning back there to, fight the other brother. It seems like there's certain
Yeah.
connectivity in that sense, I guess.
Yeah, I think it probably played out the way it should have, right? Destiny of the things have a funny way of working themselves out. So we get to revisit it on a multitude of different platforms, and I guess that's just another component of it.
Yeah, and I'd seen you at a post phrasing or using the phrasing rather, talking about finishing the story on November 16th. Is that just kind of like attached to this idea of like finally putting this Croswell
100%.
rivalry behind you?
Yeah, dude, I never want to talk about them, hear about them again. I just want to be done with it. After I win, that'll be done. I will never revisit this again. This will be done. Um, I don't really have much else to say other than that. Yeah, it's been fun, I guess, but for me, I'm looking beyond. They might be stuck in the past. I'm in the present, man. So, yeah, I guess you have to kind of, I got to talk about it with you, and I'm fine doing that, and stuff. But on after on November 16th, I will finish the story and it'll be done, and I'll never ever ever address it again.
I guess that's sometimes the thing. I think people who are like, I mean, regardless of the role, whether you're a fighter, fan, or media person, I think there's like a certain component there when there's like a rivalry that seems to exist in earnest. Is it almost kind of like a fatiguing thing in a way, though? Like, I mean, you're talking about like, oh, I kind of want to be, done with it and have it behind me a little bit. Like, as much as it adds a certain layer of intrigue beyond, I guess, just like the X's and O's of what you guys each bring to the table. Like, is there I don't know. I guess I'm trying to find a way to phrase this. Like it would seem like a certain situation or a certain feeling in the situation. Yeah, it's just
Hmm.
yeah, I'm trying to find a way to phrase it. It's like you and all of us do. Like there's this certain like I guess
Sure.
attachment to like the idea of like earnest rivalry, et cetera, and whatnot, and seeing that in like a lot of bigger fights throughout the sport's history. Is there a certain like exhausting kind of component to it though, where it would almost be like cathartic if you're to, finish this fight?
No, because I don't think about them. I don't care. I don't think about them. You know what I mean? It's only when they yap. It's only when they yap. And every time then I have to address it. I guess on this level I'll and knowing them, they may never stop, but at least I'm done with it. I was done with like every time. I'm over it. You know what I mean? And so like I said, it's for them, they're stuck in the past. I'm in the present. I don't have time to worry about things that have already happened. I won the last fight. It was a close fight, but I won, and I know why I won because I kept pushing forward and 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 getting after it. Like I said, if the third round was up for grabs, I took the third round. Um, I'm not stuck in it. I don't like I said I don't love talk because it's not really my thing. I don't like the BS of all of this. I don't like it. But again, I'm not going to shy away if someone's going to just keep going on and on and on and on. I'm just glad that this will be done, but I'm not exhausted in the literal sense because I don't think about it. It doesn't consume my life. Maybe it consumes theirs a little bit. I'm not saying it does all the time, but it doesn't consume mine at all.
Yeah, I can understand the distinction that you're making there and everything like
Hmm.
that. I guess I just thought to kind of put it out there all the same. I guess I'm kind of wondering like what else you're, getting up to because I mean, we've talked before and like a lot of skills in the multimedia design space and web development and
Yeah.
whatnot. Like what do you kind of have on the go in that lane and everything?
I got a little 10 pound ball of fury downstairs. That's what I have going. He's consumed a lot of my time. A lot of, I used to think I didn't have any time. Now I'm like, I can't believe I had so much time. Um, because like the things that I liked to do, like I'm not a big TV guy, but I'll occasionally like, play a little bit of video games or read. I like to read a lot. I've been able to find some time to read, but um, I really haven't had time for much else. It's just getting work, just work and training and taking care of him. It'll be a nice little break after to maybe just take some time off of training a little bit and be able to like focus and enjoy the holidays with him and kind of maybe get back to some of the other hobbies I have. Who knows how long before I start going stir crazy and at least jumping, into a practice room again. But yeah, I mean that's really honestly what I've been getting to. He's a full-time job. And
No,
kudos to my wife, honestly, because like she does the vast she's obviously the mantle of responsibility, a lot of it ends up falling on her, and I'm just trying to we're both taking on the responsibility for sure, right? So it's not 50-50, it's 100-100. Uh so we're just doing the best that we can and raising this little ball of fury. So
yeah, that's what it's all about, man. It's just cool to see all the things you have going on. Like it is good to be present and then look towards like the slightly
hmm
immediate future. Like that was kind of the wavelength I was on there with just
yeah,
like, I guess
100%.
just getting this fight and then settling into the holidays and whatnot. I also kind of noticed he got to compete at the London Open a bit ago in their brown/black belt division.
Yeah,
How was that?
it was all right. I hate tournaments. I hate tournaments. Like you, like just the whole idea. I could go on and on and on about why I hate them. I actually didn't mind this one. I hate the dynamic wait times, how it switches. Last year I was supposed to go at like 2:45, then all of a sudden 2:15 hits. So I go, 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 go. I'm like, this is stupid. And then you got to pay like an insurance. Like, what am I paying an insurance for? Like, I hate tournaments, and like I think they're a little pricey. I'm sure it's expensive to rent out the place and for you to give us a $2 medal. Like I get all of that. Like I don't like it. I like this. I like I like grappling. Like I like sub only matches. Those are fun. Like you go in and you go out. You get one match in. Feels like a fight card. I think that's kind of more my vibe. But I just wanted to compete. Like we've talked about this before. Like I just like to be active. So I was like, man, I had fought in April, and I'm really not going to do anything until November. No way. And then the positive was that like I actually had a good time. Doing it relatively speaking in comparison to the usual. The wait times were fine. It was right on time basically, and yeah, I got to see some old coaches and stuff, and yeah, I just got to like just get that competitive, like the heart racing again, which was kind of nice, but in a more controlled environment, of course, kind of like a little bit of a trial run. So on that feeling, so it kind of checked off all the boxes that I intended for it to check off. It checked off, so it was just fun.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting time in the grappling world. Like, have you been kind of keeping up with what's been going on with like ADCC and CJI and different things like
A
that?
little bit, a little bit. I find jiu-jitsu on T, and I'm in the minority for this for sure, for people who like enjoy like grappling and MMA and stuff. I cannot stand watching these things. Like I will fall asleep. Like I don't, it's not for me. It's, to me it's the most boring thing in the world to watch. It's just, and it's like I used to really like, you might remember Metamoris. I used to really like Metamoris,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
but these ones, and they're great. They have great matches, like, but I just like don't care enough to watch it. I love MMA. I'll watch like the MMA all day. Boxing, I like watching like the big ones and things like that. But grappling, I actually would rather watch like real amateur wrestling, like the Olympic wrestling. I was really into that. I
Oh, cool.
prefer.
Okay.
Like I was trying to tune in as much as I could, just given the times and things like that. And but man, I just I don't watch a lot. I know what's going on. Like I do keep a pulse on like I do like kind of listen out to it, and I like hearing the stories and stuff. But in terms of like watching it, no, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Not at
it's
all.
well, I mean, it's interesting because I mean, you seem to obviously enjoy participating in it, and I feel like that's
hmm
even a thing with some fighters. Like, I mean, I guess a guy that comes to mind is like Derek Lewis, for instance. Like, he does what he does for a career, but he's not like actively out there like watching it on his own volition, like unless it's
Yeah,
tied to like a tape study for an opponent
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing. But yeah.
yeah. MMA, I love. I can watch you like all day. Like regionals, fun. Just as much as I like watching the regional, I like watching the highest level and everything in between. But grappling just doesn't do it for me, man.
No, fair enough, man. And I guess I'm kind of curious because
Mm.
we've been kind of talking about just being present and not really focusing on the past. I'm curious how much you might be, like, not in a context of overlooking your opponent, but how much you might just be looking to the future in general. Like, I feel like
I'm
that's the
not.
classic. Yeah.
I'm not though. I'm present. Like, I'm saying enjoying the holidays because the holidays are inevitable. I look forward to the inevitables of life. I'm not looking past them at all. If I was looking past them, it means I wasn't training hard enough. I trained super hard. I trained harder than, it's just as hard as I always do. Like I trained really, really hard, and it was actually a lot more of a focused training, a lot more systemic, a lot more structured. Those were kind of some of the things that I went back to. I'm not overlooking him at all because at the end of the day, he's going to be in there trying to take off my head. I'm going to be trying to take off his head, and those are real threats. He's not like he doesn't want those bad things to happen, and I want those bad things to happen to him and not to me. Right? You know what I'm saying? So to overlook is a crime. It's a crime to the sport. I don't think anybody's above the sport, and I think overlooking somebody is you thinking that you're above the sport. And I will never do that. I put my heart in all my entire heart and mind and body into it every time, like I'm doing for this one. I'm present. I'm ready for November 16th. I'm gearing to go. And that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly a formidable, multifaceted opponent. I guess
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering if you think about things in the certain context of like, oh, it'd be cool to get X amount of fights this coming year, or even like loose goals that you can be adaptable within as
Yeah,
well. Or
yeah, absolutely. But I don't like, I do look at those. I think, I don't, I think that's a healthy perspective, right? I look at them in a positive way. But I don't look at it as November 16th already, like it's over. Like I already know it's there. I can look at these things. I have the ability to look at these things separate. Okay, yeah, like these are some plans I have, but into next year, these are things I would like to do. I would like to be more active. Like, of course, I would like to be more active next year. But I think that's a very blanketed that those things, two things can be different. And I think in this instance, that is different. I do have long term. You should have your long term, your medium term, your short term goals, right? They say like the best structure is to have like a 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, 6 month. I don't look that far ahead per se. But yeah, like I do think about, oh, what I'm going to do next year. I think, but at present, I haven't. At present, I do a little, like maybe a little bit, but at present, November 16th for me is all that matters.
yeah, it just seems like there's a strong flyweight presence on the card as well, just with that James Clark and Gabe
Yeah,
Seidman fight going on too.
great fight. Absolutely awesome matchup. I can't wait to watch that after. Those two guys are studs, man. They're great guys. They're studs. They're great fighters. It's a great matchup.
Yeah, and I feel like the flyweight representation in Canada is just so good, like even beyond, I guess, just a lot of the great regional circuits. Like I've talked to,
Hmm.
I guess, people in a few interviews about it, but like Tony Laramie readying to make his
Oh
Rizin
yeah.
debut, like just cool stuff going on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The division has really picked up in volume and in talent, which has been amazing. Amazing to see because again, we've always kind of the division's kind of been, hated on, from, the major shows and stuff. It's been a harder division. Like bantamweight's always so full, right? Bantamweight's always so stacked. Just so many great guys at bantamweight and featherweight and so forth. But then like once the bantamweight, you kind of felt like you drop off a little bit, but now flyweight's really picking up. There's a lot of really talented guys at flyweight, and it's just been an exciting time. And you are able now to have cards where you have multiple flyweights instead of being like, oh, there's a flyweight fight on here. Like, no, you can have like two or three really quality matchups. And this is, I think, definitely a card that garners that.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I mean so many people talk about bantamweight being such like a marquee like known division in MMA and like flyweight's like just not far off at all. It's like literally the
Yeah,
increment below it, but
yeah.
there still is those certain people who are almost like I don't know, that don't like look at the division in a certain regard, but I mean, I feel like that's become far more of like the I guess antiquated kind of thought. Like I feel like the people
Hmm.
that are like hardcore fans always knew, but I think sometimes it's just like, I don't know, maybe like the normalization component, like just seeing a certain amount of the flyweight fights and being like, oh, wow, these guys are really technical and skilled, and there's a
Yeah.
certain depth to this talent pool for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. Again, I think it's a matter of time. Like I'm sure you recall, like when the UFC first they brought featherweights and bantamweights, and then it was later on that they brought the flyweights, right? And so I think maybe they had just more of a time with the intro, and then having Faber and Cruz fight right off the bat. Like it was just a really digestible way of bringing it in. Whereas then the flyweights, it kind of was just like, oh, we're just gonna kind of makeshift this tournament, and it just kind of. I don't think it ever got off to like the proper start, but then you saw it pick up a little bit with Moreno and Figueiredo fighting each other 4 times. Like I think those are the instances, and I think for Ontario and on the broader for Canada, we have kind of gotten to that point where you are seeing these super talented guys, these really good guys who are now have enough people in the division that where they can fight within the country, right? Because a lot of these guys were having to travel or they were having to bring people in. Now you can have guys that like 4 guys on the flyweights, all in the kind of the same area, all like in the same province fighting each other. How often do you see that? Not like you wouldn't before, but now you are. So that's a good sign of health of the health of the division has definitely gone up.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this question just because your nickname is the heel and everything, and we've talked about that in past
Mm-hmm.
conversations. I guess just considering like the build and the story and the general lead up to this fight, like are you the heel in this fight or are you the baby face? Like what are we thinking in that regard?
I'm probably the heel for them, which is all good. I'm not either, man. I'm me. I am me. Whatever people say, I am. I'm sure to his friends, family, whatever, I am the bad guy, and I'm planning on being the bad guy on that night for him too. So that's all good. I don't really care. For me, I'm all in. This fight is going to be over. They can say whatever they want.
Yeah, fair enough, man. I mean, I guess presuming you're still training out of the space, but I would think that like getting such great mentorship from people who've been in the game for so long, like guys like Mark Hominick and whatnot, I'm sure it gives a certain, I guess, like tempered, kind of like thoughtful way of looking at things. Like, I guess presuming you're still training out of like
Yeah,
adrenaline MMA
yeah,
a fair
yeah. No,
bit. Yeah.
I go out there like obviously I do majority of my training out here, like with Josh and like around here. So no, definitely. But those guys they're fantastic and they've been at it. They've had the highest highs and they've experienced like low moments in their careers too. But those give you perspective. I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that's a great thing. And so being able to pick their brain or ask them questions and see what their perspectives are and seeing what works for me and then absorbing, the things that maybe I can relate to. I think those are all great things. And I definitely think not just as fighters, but as people, they're able, I've shifted my perspective, which is great.
Yeah, and I mean another great individual too. Like, I mean, Josh Hill has always been someone that's given that quality mentorship, and yeah, he's
Yeah,
doing
he's
such
the
great
man.
stuff in Octagon nowadays too. So love to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. No, he's the man. He does so much for us. And he's just a good person. It's awesome being around him.
Yeah, I was gonna say it'd probably be interesting in a certain sense. I mean, I guess this probably would apply to prior fights too, now that I'm saying it out loud, but just like the, I guess, tight-knit dynamics you have with him, and then, you get this big moment of getting the win in past instances, and then he's like in the cage holding the microphone with you and talking to you. There's probably a lot going on there, right?
Yeah, I mean, for my fights, he's in the corner. He doesn't do that. So either Jay will do it, or I think one time it was Pete Trevino, and
Oh, yeah,
Pete and I
yeah.
have a long standing relationship where I try to like kind of mess with him a little bit on the mic. So, and he knows it's coming. He's if you see his face every time, he's got a big grin on his face. He knows. So I almost do it now because now he expects it. So more than anything else. But no, he's great. Like he helps us. He does the pre thing. He runs in the like he's full time gigging that day. Like when we fought in London, Liam and I, we like he literally did the all the announcing thing, ran to the back, helped me come out, then ran after like I was on the mic. He's going, I've got to run back to Liam. I was like, I'll buy you some time. So then I just started ranting on and on and on just to buy him some time to run to the back and get to Liam and get ready to go. So no, it's cool having him. He's the man. He's awesome.
Yeah, and that's a fun anecdote with Pete. I think it speaks to like a certain like microcosm sort of thing that I see with BTC, just like this playful, kind of close-knit, familial sort of thing in the context of it being like a very professionally
Hmm.
run, smooth show, obviously, but it seems like there's that good balance and that rapport.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've known Pete a long time. I've known Pete since 2016. So I've known him for a fair amount of time, and I've just always just kind of try to maybe start. I started at first, it was kind of, okay, and then I kind of very normal, and then I kind of just started picking it up because a couple people were kind of, booing and stuff, and then I just like, I'm not gonna take this, and then I worked hard, I earned this, and then he like I can see on his face when he has it, even when I don't feel like doing it, he's got this big grin on his face, and I'm just like, I gotta do it, and it kind of just rolls off the tongue, to be honest. So I see him grinning, then he gets me going, then I get going, then the coach gets going, and it's just a shit show.
Yeah, no, good times, man. And I'm stoked for this card. It should be a good event. I mean,
Yeah.
the promotion has a track record of always putting on heater events, but I do want
Hmm.
to be mindful of your time and what you're getting up to, Gino. I guess just in saying that, I figured I'd give you the floor in case there was a final parting thought you wanted to add as we're wrapping up here. I do appreciate your time, man.
I mean, I just, thanks to my coaches, training partners, I had one sponsor, EXO, Cookie Co. Best cookies around. So best sugar cookie, definitely will be having some of those after. So um, it's been cool. It's been just feel really good. I feel in the moment. I'm just all in, all in. That was my biggest thing. It was easy or hard. I'm gonna find a way, but I'm all in, and that's what I'm planning on showing.
Yeah, I mean, speaking to yourself and then also speaking to Nigel as well, like you both seem locked in and whatnot, and just such a compelling fight. Good to see it finally
Hmm.
transpiring on November 16th, and should be a great event with BTC 26 overall. But to reiterate, Gino, thanks for coming on the MMA Canada platform today, and just, yeah, have a great rest of your day, and thank you
You
for
as
the
well.
insights, man.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.